Well, here I am still trying to chase down my non-starting problem. So the other thing left to test is to do a compression test on all the cylinders. Make sure that I've got good compression on all the cylinders. So having checked the injectors, having checked that I'm getting spark, the only other thing is I now need to do a compression test. And just see what each of the cylinders is giving me from a compression point of view. So I bought myself reasonably priced compression tester, which should do the job for me. And I've took copies, paperwork out of the manual, the Volvo manual. It just basically tells you how to go about this, which is not really any different than what you normally do. First job is take out all the spark plugs, disconnect the fuel system, make sure you're not going to fire up your ignition. A couple of ways of doing that is take the main lead feeding the coil off, or take the actual HT lead off the coil that feeds the distributor. You don't want to be trying to send sparks down all your HT leads as they're flying around. So really the first job is to take out all the spark plugs, and that will also allow me to see the condition of the spark plugs, to see if there's any telltale signs of, what do they look like? Are they very wet? Am I flooding the cylinders? Which at this particular time, that's my suspicion. I don't know why, but I've got a feeling I'm flooding, but we'll see. So let's have a look and see what we look like when we get all the spark plugs out. Okay, so I've pulled the plugs. One of the things that's quite useful to do is just a piece of cardboard, and as you're taking the plugs out, mark up which cylinders have come from. You'll probably see that there. And it just, if one particular plug is giving you some indications, and you don't want to mix them up and think, oh, now which cylinder did that come out of? All the plugs look pretty much the same. Looking at them, they are quite black, and to me that's indicating that I'm running a bit rich. That sort of backs up the theory I'm running with now, that maybe I'm flooding the engine, there's too much fuel going in, I'm running a rich mixture, no idea why, but that's a theory now that seems to be backed up by looking at these spark plugs. I'll have a closer look at those. Okay, so here you can see my spark plugs. You can see the general condition of them really is they are looking quite dark. Generally that indicates that the fuel, I'm running a bit rich on the fuel. So we're starting to maybe narrow down now what my problem is. And the compression test will now just verify that, at least hopefully I find that my cylinders are okay. Okay, so what I've done here, I've just done a quick diagram of the engine and the cylinder numbers, and then purely as a precaution, although it's very difficult to get them mixed up because of the lead length, I've just identified each of my HT leads, which cylinders they're for on both sides, just as a precautionary measure, so that I don't, when I come to put them back, I don't get them in the wrong order. Okay, so I'm getting ready now to run my compression test. First thing I want to do is, I don't want any, while I'm cranking the engine, I don't want any fuel being delivered. So I'm just going to locate the fuse is activating the fuel pump. And that's F3, which is 20 amp for the fuel pump. So we're going to take that fuse out, put that to one side. Next thing we're going to do is take off the control cable off the coil, because we don't want to be generating a spark while we're cranking the engine. Get it off. He says. That's just disconnected that, put that out of the way. Just as a belt and braces, I'm just going to take the coil feed to the distributor, just put that out of the way. That way I'm not putting fuel onto the engine, and I'm not trying to generate an ignition. The next thing you've got to do is open up the throttle. So I've got the throttle plate fully open. And now I'm just going to set up my compression tester. Okay, first thing you want to do is, from the kit I've got a different range of adapters that will plug into where the spark plugs come from. So select the right one. In my case it's a 14mm. Screw in on the end of the hose. You don't over tighten these, they've got an O-ring on, so just finger tight is good. Screw this into the first cylinder, which is very, very difficult to see. There we go. Finger tight is good. Attach the pressure gauge. Okay. Battery isolation switch on. Okay, so the engine's going to crank over. It's probably going to take around about 4 or 5 cranks to build the pressure up in the cylinder, and all the spark plugs are out, so we're probably going to hear the engine building up its pressure in the cylinders, and that's just going to be escaping through where the spark plugs would normally be. She's not trying to start with the throttle position on, so I think what I'm going to have to do is just disconnect the throttle linkage and open the throttle plate manually. Right. Hold that back if I can. Okay, I'll try again now. Okay, we did 6 cranks there, and we got a pressure of 150 psi. So you can see that on the down there, 150. So we're just going to release the pressure, make a note of that, and go around all the cylinders. So okay, what I did there is I'm on my 3rd cylinder just checking. I thought I'd put a bit of video on. You can see almost straight away what indicates very good pressure. Needle flies up, and then a few more cranks, you get a little bit more pressure building up in the cylinder. So that was worth looking at. Okay, finished the compression test. Good news is all my cylinders are okay. We'll do a close-up of the results in a minute, but basically went round all the cylinders. One of them was a little bit low, and what you do in that case is on the cylinder that's a little bit low on pressure compared to the others, you squirt some oil in there. I use WD-40, which is okay. You can use a mist type of oil, something like you'd use for winterizing the engine, but WD-40 is fine. You spray it into the cylinder. You turn the engine over first because you don't want excess oil in there. You don't want to be pressurizing oil. And basically what you're doing is you're lubricating the piston and the rings. You then do another pressure reading. Now if you significantly improve the pressure, what you've done is you've proven that that particular piston with its rings isn't sealing properly on the cylinder. I did that, and I only got a small increase in pressure of 5 psi. So I don't think I've got a problem with that cylinder at all. So I'll just show you the results now. Okay, you can see here I've done a little diagram of the cylinders, and then I went round each one, and these readings here are in psi. So you can see that all pretty consistent, ranging from 150, 145, 140, 145. This was the one that was low, 125. I got 130 when I'd lubricated the cylinder. I don't think that's an issue. According to the Volvo spec and the manuals, when doing compression testing, you should take your highest reading cylinder and do 75% of that, and then your lowest reading cylinder must not be less than 75%. So having checked that, you take the 150, 75% of 150 is less than 125. So according to the Volvo spec, I don't have a problem. I've got enough balanced compression throughout the cylinders that there's nothing wrong with this engine from firing point of view. So again, it's good news. This is still leaning me towards now, for some reason I appear to be running a rich mixture. So we'll see what else we have to investigate to get to the bottom of this.